Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. First day of the spring semester. Hooray! We'll give everybody just a minute to come in. I'm just trying to get my laptop a little more stable here, so I'm not shaking too much. There we go. That's better. All right. So if you would open up the chat feature for me on your device and just type in your first name. This is how I take attendance when we're together. Very good. Yeah. So each time we meet, I'll do this. I'll open up the chat and I'll ask you to write your first name in, and then I'll have a recording for everyone who's here. All of our Zoom meetings are recorded, and I actually post them for us on our YouTube playlist. So if you ever need to go back and look at anything we talked about in a meeting, you'll be able to do that as well. So we're still waiting for some folks to join, so we'll give it another minute or two. Hopefully you all have had an opportunity to just take a look at the Blackboard course. If you haven't already, you might want to find some time today to just go into Blackboard and click on that course, and you'll already see a couple of announcements from me. There's a welcome announcement that is important because it has a lot of information for you about how to get everything started. The scheduling this semester is very strange. You all have already seen that. I am not the person who was originally scheduled to teach this course this spring. That professor had to take a very sudden leave. And so I stepped in to take over the course. I'm a jack of many trades, I guess you could say. I teach at several different colleges. I teach at Keene State. I teach at River Valley Community College, and now I'm teaching at New England College. So I teach microbiology at all three of those places. And I teach several other courses in the natural sciences as well. So I'm really excited to be here teaching micro. I love micro. It's one of my favorite courses to teach. So obviously we got in a little bit of a jam with the pandemic. We got in a little jam in terms of scheduling. As you remember, when you signed up for a lecture time, and then you signed up for a laboratory time. And typically when we're meeting in person, everybody comes to the same lecture period, but we split up into smaller groups for the labs. So in order to manage everybody remotely, what we've done is we've brought everybody together during the lecture period for labs. So your lecture material this semester is actually asynchronous, and that's that term we use in remote education that just means we don't meet formally for lectures. Instead, what I do is I create narrated lecture videos for you, and I post them on a playlist up on YouTube. So you have certain lectures that you're expected to watch each week according to a schedule. And then during our normal lecture time, which is right now, we come together as a big group and we do our lab exercises. So whatever lab period you signed up for the semester doesn't mean anything anymore. This slot of time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11:20 to 12:30, that's your lab period. And that lab period is over Zoom. And we will all be together over Zoom during that lab period. And then you could do the lecture material really at your discretion, whenever it fits in your schedule. You'll be able to watch the lectures. One of the biggest challenges of remote learning for you as a student is motivating yourself to watch lecture material. Believe me, I understand that. I understand that. I try to keep all of the lectures as concise as I can. Normally I would lecture to you for an hour and a half in the classroom. The lecture videos are going to be shorter than that. I break them into short videos. So one lecture might be broken into 3 20-minute videos. I do what I can to try to be helpful with motivating you to stay up with the material. But I do realize that it's difficult. It's difficult to motivate yourself. It's a lot easier to come to a classroom at a certain time and listen to a lecture than it is to sit down and go to YouTube and go to our playlist and watch a lecture all by yourself. But that's your challenge this semester, is to not only do the lectures, do the lecture material, but also to take a really good set of notes for yourself while you're doing it. I will say the one real benefit to doing a course like this remotely is that those lecture notes that you make for yourself, you're going to be able to have with you when you're doing assessments for me. So whether you're taking a lecture quiz, you're sitting down to take a short quiz about a lecture, or you're sitting down to take a lecture exam, you may have your lecture notes by your side. That's okay. So it's in your best interest. Again, trying to motivate you. It's in your best interest, not only to watch all the lectures and keep up with the schedule, but to take a nice set of notes for yourself, just like you would if you were in the classroom. Hopefully those will help guide you to a really good grade in the course. Okay, so again, if you've looked at Blackboard, and I know a couple of you have already gone through the first module, thank you. If you go to our Blackboard page for the course and you read through that welcome announcement, one of the things it tells you to do is to go into the course content. And of course, in Blackboard, there's this menu on the left side of your screen that says things like homepage and course content and assignments and Zoom and all kinds of other links. If you click where it says course content, you're going to be brought to all of the materials virtually that you're going to need for this course. And the way I organize the course is week by week. So anytime you click into course content, you can scroll down and you can find whatever week we're in. And you're going to find there that I've made a to-do list for you. I'll show you one of these in just a moment, but every week I make a to-do list for you. And it's going to tell you which lectures you should be watching, which lecture quizzes you're going to want to take. And those are very short. Those are 5-point quizzes. It's going to tell you what lab or labs we're going to cover when we get together on Zoom. It's going to tell you what homework you have for laboratory. So everything will be listed right there for you for the week. So you won't have to worry about figuring out what you need to do. And there'll be a new to-do list each week. I think that makes the most sense for us. It's just week to week. The other thing you're going to find in our weekly course content are links to the things you need. So you're going to find links to the lecture quizzes and links to the lab homework. Everything right there at your fingertips. Again, the key is going to be keeping up with everything. And if you're not the kind of person who keeps a calendar, you know, you're not the kind of person who keeps a tight calendar, this is a good time to do it. This is a good time to start. Even if it's on your phone, if it's on your home computer, your laptop computer, or if it's on a piece of paper, just, you know, write everything out from week to week that you need to get done and when you need to do it. I make very short lecture quizzes for each of the lecture topics that we do. You have one lecture topic this week called Introduction to the Microbes. So during this first week when everything's really crazy and hectic, I've only got one lecture for you to watch. And again, if you go to our channel on YouTube, and it's called Science, and the address, the web URL is available for you in that welcome announcement on the homepage. If you go to our channel, you can find a playlist, a YouTube channel playlist that's just for us. And again, I've got that URL for you, posted for you on Blackboard as well. That playlist has videos that are just for us in it. If you go to the channel and you don't click on the playlist, that's fine. It's just that there are literally hundreds of videos on that channel because I teach so many different courses. So there's anatomy videos and there's biology videos and there's all kinds of videos up there. If you click where the playlist is for NEC, for our microbiology course, you'll find just our videos. So it's a lot easier to go to our playlist. The other thing to know is that I recognize that you have a busy schedule. A lot of you are out working, you're taking lots of classes. So I try to post things early for you. Doesn't mean you have to do things early. It just means that they're available to you if you want to do them early. Each week, like I said, you're going to have lecture videos to watch and you're going to have lecture quizzes to take. So I make sure that those lecture videos are available to you about a week early. So it's important that you know what you're supposed to do when, and that's where that to-do list comes in. So just because you might see 5 or 6 lecture videos on the playlist at any one time, it doesn't mean you need to watch all 5 or 6 of them at that moment. Go to the to-do list in Blackboard and see what you need to watch this week. You got one lecture to watch this week and you have one lecture quiz to complete this week. Now, the lecture quizzes, as I said, they're short. They're only about 5 questions, about 5 points. The reason that I put those up is that I want to, number one, encourage you to watch the lectures and take notes. And I want to reward you for doing that by giving you a few points. Because this course, the way this course is graded, is you earn points for me. Everything you do in this course is going to have points associated with it. And you're going to earn some number of points for everything you do. So you'll have a chance each week to show me that you watched the lecture video and you understood it and you sat down and took that short quiz. You're also going to have an opportunity each week to show me that you understood what we did in lab. And remember, lab we're going to do together. Lab we're going to do over Zoom. So each week there'll be a homework assignment. Again, it's only 5 points or so, but it's an assignment that shows that, number one, you understood what we did. You've got your notes all set, and you were able to show me that you comprehended the material that we covered. So each week you're going to have lecture quizzes and you're going to have a lab homework, one lab homework, and usually 2 lecture quizzes. Lecture quizzes are typically due Thursday by midnight. Lab homework is typically due Sunday by midnight. Okay, so I try to keep that pretty orderly because I know, again, you have a lot of courses and it's helpful if things are due at the same time each week. You're absolutely welcome to do things early if you have an opportunity to do things early and submit things early. I have some students who do that, some students who have a work schedule that makes it hard for them to watch a video on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So they do it over the weekend and they do the quiz and they get it submitted and they're done. That's fine. Remember, the lecture material is asynchronous. You're just going to want to keep up with it on a weekly basis. So whenever it's convenient for you during that week, watch the videos, take the quizzes. As long as you get them into me by Thursday at midnight, you'll be good. Now, the laboratories, I also list what we're doing in lab in that to-do list that's up on Blackboard for you each week. Remember too that there's a posted syllabus for us. There's a syllabus posted for us, and that syllabus has a schedule at the end of it, a week by week schedule at the end of it. So you can also pull up the syllabus if you're ever trying to figure out what's coming up, or when is my first exam in here, or what are we going to be talking about in lab next week? Okay. You've got a schedule at the end of your syllabus, and you have a to-do list posted on Blackboard every week. That'll let you know what you need to keep up with. Okay. So I'm getting a message here about the start time for our labs. It says the schedule on Blackboard says class starts at 11:30, but it started at 11:20. I will check that out. Our lab period, again, it's our lecture period, but we're going to use it for lab in this course. We're going to meet over Zoom on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11:20. From 11:20 to 12:30. I'll check that to make sure it doesn't give conflicting information. Sometimes that happens on Blackboard. Okay. I'll double check, okay? And I'll fix that. But for now, just jot it down for yourself that we're going to begin at 11:20. We need that time. We need those extra 10 minutes. So we're going to take them 11:20 to 12:30. And I know that when you signed up, you thought that was going to be your lecture period, but we've changed that into a laboratory period. So everybody has the exact same laboratory period, 11:20 to 12:30, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The lecture portion of the course, you're going to be able to do at your own pace each week. So we're not going to meet for lectures. We're only meeting for lab exercises. Okay. All your lecture material is posted for you in narrated video format. The important thing to remember is you want to treat it just like you were in the classroom. So when you sit down this week to watch that first lecture called Introduction to the Microbes, when you sit down to watch that on YouTube on our playlist, you're going to want to take notes just like you were in the classroom. And it's going to be in your best interest to take a nice detailed set of notes because you're going to be able to use those notes when you take your quizzes and when you take your lecture exams. You're going to be able to use those notes. Okay, you can't use anything else, but you can use your own notes. Now, something else that I post, which is a little confusing for students, but some students like to have a copy of the PowerPoint slides that I use for the narrated lecture videos. Some students like to have a copy of just the slides, and they take their notes on the slides. And if that's something that you find helpful, I post the slides for you on Blackboard as well. So anything that is presented to you as a PowerPoint presentation in lecture and lab, I'm going to post those slides for you just in case you want them. You don't have to use them if you don't want them. Don't worry. But you're going to find a lot of slide sets posted each week for the students who find them useful. The key thing to remember is that each week, as you go on Blackboard, all of our materials are posted on Blackboard except for the videos. The videos are on YouTube. So if it's something that's in a video format, you have to go to YouTube to find it, and specifically to our playlist. Okay? And those URLs, those web addresses are posted for you in the welcome announcement on Blackboard. You just click, you can click on the link, you can bookmark our playlist, whatever, so that you can quickly go to YouTube and quickly find our playlist for this course. And all of the video recorded material will be there. So that means all of the lecture material that's video recorded, all of our lab meetings, which are also video recorded. Like today's meeting will be up on our playlist, just in case you want to go back, just in case. You don't have to go back, but if you missed something, and maybe we were talking about fermentation in lab that day and you missed something, you can go back and pull that meeting up in video format and look for that piece of information that you missed. All right, it's my job. I take my job really seriously, and it's my job to help you be successful in this course. So I'm going to try to make everything as accessible to you as possible. I want you to watch the lecture videos and take notes, and I want you to come to the lab meetings and take notes, just like you were in the classroom. But I'm going to also post things for you so that if you need to, you can go back and look at them again. Because I understand it's hard. Sometimes you miss things. Sometimes you miss a point that I made, or maybe you didn't understand a point that I made. You want to go back and watch it again. All right. So I'm going to just pull a couple things up and share my screen with you so we can just look at some things and make sure everybody's comfortable with what they're seeing. Okay. So give me a minute because I'm a little slow, but I'm going to pull up our page. All right, so what you should see in front of you right now is our Blackboard homepage. If you don't see that, unmute yourself and tell me, just call out, I don't see it, and I'll reload it again, okay? So when you go onto Blackboard and you log in and you click on our course, there's one other thing for me to mention here, and that's that there's only one link for our course. It looks like this over here on the left. Whoops. It looks like microbiology with a bunch of numbers and then my last name, Piscopo. Normally, when you take this course, there would be two separate Blackboard courses. There'd be the lecture course and the lab course. We're not doing that this semester. There's one course. It has all the materials in it. So over here in this menu on the left, this is where all the primary links are for the Blackboard course. I'm sure you've used all these before in your other courses. You can find announcements that come from me. For example, I sent an announcement out this morning, just reminding everybody to come. And here's that welcome message that I mentioned. This is a message you're going to want to go back to from time to time because it has a bunch of links on it. It has a link for our syllabus and our schedule. It has a link for our YouTube channel and our playlist. And down at the bottom, it also has information for our Zoom labs. If you go into Zoom from Blackboard, you shouldn't need this. But if you try to go into Zoom from just the Zoom app, it's going to ask you to enter a meeting ID and a password. So I recommend when you're getting ready to come into Zoom for a lab that you just go over to the left menu and you click on Zoom lab meetings. That's probably the easiest way to get in. But, from time to time, Zoom isn't perfect. And from time to time, you might get booted off of a meeting and you have to log back in. And sometimes you won't be able to log back in. It's happened, So if you find yourself going into Zoom from the app, you may need this meeting information. There's a meeting ID and there's a password. And that information is going to be the same every single meeting. All right. So if you click where it says course content, you can see that there's a couple of folders up here already. There's a folder up at the top that's for me. It's just a bunch of faculty stuff. But you can see this one right here called Start Here. That's the one you're going to want to do as soon as you have a chance over the next day or two. Then you've got your beginning weekly modules, basically your weekly folders. You've got week 1, that's this week of February 1st. And you'll see there's also there's some material posted already for next week because I do try to post things early for you, just in case you need to get some work done early because you've got a scheduling conflict or your work schedule is bad next week and you're going to have to do a little extra this week. I'll try to keep you about a week in advance. Okay, so if I click where it says Start Here, there are 4 steps here for you to complete. And again, some of you have already done this, which is great. Thank you. The first thing it asks you to do is just click on the syllabus and schedule and give it a good read. That's important because it's important that you know what's expected of you. All right. It's important to know how you're going to be graded and what the kind of the rules and regulations are in the class. Then it asks you to find your textbook. We're using an online textbook. Yay, you don't have to buy a textbook. It's called an open educational resource textbook, so it's free for everyone. It's run by Rice University and it's called OpenStax. There are lots of textbooks at OpenStax, but ours is specifically the microbiology textbook. And then it asks you to go to the discussion board in our course called Introductions and post a little introduction about yourself. And then the last thing asks you to complete a survey. This is actually your very first assignment. You're going to get a few points. You're going to earn a few points if you submit this for me. Okay. The introductions board is there because, again, we're kind of at a disadvantage when we're online. We don't get to meet each other in the classroom. So this board is designed just as a place for us to meet each other virtually. So I ask you to just post a little bit about yourself. You know, what you're studying, what you hope to do when you leave college. What kind of a career do you hope to have? Things like that. And then the student survey, this comes just to me. So this board, everybody can read, but this survey just comes to me. And this is so I can gather a little bit of information about everybody so I know who's in the class and what kind of things interest you and what your professional plans are. So I can sort of gear the course in a way that makes the most sense. So those things are in this first folder called Start Here. Now, if you click on this week's folder, week 1, here's that to-do list I told you about. Each week, you're going to get a to-do list in the weekly folder. And again, it's just to make sure you know everything that you need to get done that week. So you see it says you have one narrated lecture to view called Introduction to the Microbes. So you're going to go to the playlist and you're going to watch the lecture. You're going to take some notes just like you were in the classroom. And then when you're finished, you're going to take the lecture quiz that's posted below. And then this week, we're also going to have our regular Zoom lab meetings. Again, from 11:20 to 12:30. You're going to go into Blackboard. You're going to click on the link that says Zoom lab meetings. Again, if you're prompted, you can enter this information, but most of the time you won't be prompted. And as we're having our Zoom meetings, as we're doing lab exercises, you're going to want to take a set of notes for yourself, just like you were in the classroom. And the nice thing is you'll have those notes. You'll have those notes available to you when you do your lab homework each week. You can also use those notes that you take for yourself when you do the lab practical exams. That's the only material you can use during the exam, but that should be a big help to you. You'll have that set of notes that you took for yourself during our labs. And then while you're sitting down and taking the lab exams, you can have those notes right at your side to help you answer the questions. Okay. Down at the bottom, underneath your to-do list, you can see here's that lecture quiz. And here's your first lab homework. Now this week, and only this week, both of these things are due by Sunday at midnight. I wanted to give you a little extra time this week because I know it's always a little crazy that first week. Normally, lecture quizzes are due by Thursday at midnight. Lab homework is due by Sunday at midnight. But this week, both things are due by Sunday at midnight. The lecture quiz is just a short series of questions, 5 questions. And you don't want to click on that quiz until you're ready to take it, because you have one chance. As soon as you click on that lecture, the clock is going to start to go. You have 30 minutes to answer those 5 questions. Now, the lab homework is a little different each week. It's still called a quiz or an exam in Blackboard or a test. But the lab homework is something you don't have to finish in one sitting. The lab homework doesn't have a time limit on it. The lab homework you can go in and out of as many times as you want. And typically the lab homework has about 10 questions on it. So the lectures, those are timed. You get one chance, 30 minutes. The lab questions are different. The lab questions you can take at your leisure. Take as much time as you want. You can go in and out. You can change your answers until you get exactly what you want, and then you submit them to me. So, all right. So, oh, there's a question from Lacey about uploading the survey. Oh, you're right, Lacey. There's no link for that. I'll fix that. There's no link right now in our folder this week that says, you know, student survey. I'll fix that. Thanks for pointing that out to me, Lacey. And I do really appreciate it. When you find a problem on Blackboard, please let me know. I don't take that as, you know, I don't take that personally. I take that as help. Yeah, go ahead.
When I just for Lacey, but early if anyone else, but when I uploaded mine, if I clicked on the like underline subtitle, it took me to like a page where I could submit it.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay. I let me check it out, because I do like there to be a literal site, you know. But it may be that it'll do that instead. It won't let me make a separate one. So I'll check it out though after class today. You should know that I've been teaching now for about 12 or 13 years. Again, I teach a lot of different courses. I am much more comfortable with a software system called Canvas. You may have heard of Canvas, you may not have. I've used Blackboard. I have, and I know I can do it. But I'm more comfortable and more experienced with a different software system. So from time to time, I may make a mistake on Blackboard in terms of links. So if you ever go onto Blackboard and you can't find something that I told you would be there, or you can't submit something that I told you to submit, just send me a quick message and I'll fix it. Okay? I appreciate your help with that. Yeah, so Brianna's saying the same thing about the survey. You have to click on the student survey and it will then provide you with a link to submit it. And again, I'll take a look at that after our class today as well and see what I can figure out for us. So I'm trying to think, I'm just checking my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention to you today. Well, here's something I'll say, and this is very important. I recognize how stressful everything is right now. I really want you to know that. I recognize how stressed out you are right now. It's stressful enough to be in college, but now you've had this added stress of the pandemic on top of you. And I want you to know that I want you to be successful this semester, and I'm going to try my best to help you be successful while recognizing that you're under a lot of stress. So the big take-home message today is stay in touch with me. Stay in touch with me if you're having any problems at all. Let me know and I will work with you. I have students who sometimes contact me and they'll say, I just can't get the lecture quiz in Thursday night. Can I get it to you Friday instead? And that's fine. Absolutely. But stay in touch with me. Let me know so I know not to expect your quiz Thursday night. I recognize that there's a lot going on, not only with your ordinary coursework, but also because of the pandemic with everything else. There's family stuff going on. I know that. And so I will work with you. I think I'm very reasonable about working with you in terms of getting stuff done. Okay. And certainly if you find yourself ill or somebody that you know and love is ill and you need to take care of them, please let me know, because we'll help you. We'll help you get through the course despite that as best we can. Okay. And if you find yourself just falling behind or you need some advice about getting some help, some tutoring help or something, let me know. Okay. That's my job. That's my job. I'm your instructor and I'm here not just to present material to you, but also to help you master that material. Okay. And I mean that sincerely. The other thing is to remember, since we're remote, technology sometimes fails us. Sometimes we get kicked out of Zoom meetings through no fault of our own. Sometimes you can't get on Blackboard through no fault of your own. Sometimes things just don't work. And the most important thing to remember is don't panic. Don't ever panic in this course, okay? Even if something like, and hopefully this would never happen, but even if you were in the middle of a lecture exam, taking a lecture exam, and your system just died, don't panic, all right? Get up with me as soon as you can and let me know what happened and we'll fix it. We'll find a way around it, all right? That's how you have to work sometimes. When you're taking a course in the middle of a pandemic, you have to figure out other ways to do things. So please don't ever panic if something doesn't go right in this course technologically. I recognize those things happen and we'll work around it. All right, we'll work together around it. Let's see. Anything else I was going to mention? So what we're going to be doing this week in terms of lab, I told you have one lecture topic. You have Introduction to the Microbes. There's actually 2 laboratory topics we're going to be covering this week. The first one is just general biosafety. And it applies primarily to the microbiology lab, but also to other lab spaces. A lot of you I know are interested in going into the healthcare field in some capacity. And for many of you, that will mean that you're in a doctor's office or you're in a hospital setting in your professional life. And so it's really important that you know some basic biosafety in order to behave correctly, I guess you could say, in a laboratory space. And then particularly in a space that handles microbes, because microbes can be pathogenic, they can cause disease. So when we get together on Wednesday, we're going to talk about biosafety in the laboratory. And then when we get together on Friday, we're going to talk about microscopes. Now, I know you don't have an opportunity to put your hands on a microscope this semester, but I have a microscope here with me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to handle it for all of us. I'm going to show you how to do things. I'm going to make slides. I'm going to make cultures. We're going to look at things under the microscope together as a group this semester. So on Friday, when we get together, we're going to just talk through microscopes. Some of you may have handled microscopes a lot in your life. Some of you may have had an opportunity to handle a light microscope when you were in high school. You may have handled it a lot, but some of you may never have touched a light microscope, or at least minimally touched one. So we're just going to talk about basically the care and the use of light microscopes. Because again, there are some things you ought to know about microscopes, regardless of where you're heading in terms of your professional life. Because if you end up working in a medical office or you end up working in a hospital, you're going to encounter microscopes. And it's important that you understand how they work and you understand what to do with them and what not to do with them and things like that. So that'll be what we talk about on Friday. So who has questions? Anything that we've talked about so far? Anything about where to find information? Anything about where our YouTube channel is or where our playlist is? I suppose I can just take a minute and show you that too, if you'd like.
Did you mention when we should have the chapter read by?
Oh, thanks. That's a great question. So here's an important thing to know about this course. When you go to our syllabus and schedule, and I'll pull it up here for us. Just one sec. Actually, I think it's this one. Okay, so you should be seeing on your screen, it says New England College at the upper left. You're looking at our syllabus here. If you go down to the bottom of the syllabus, the last couple pages is our schedule. And again, it's broken down by weeks. So week 1, that's this week, week 2, and so on. And you'll see it shows you what the lecture topics are for the week. It shows you what our laboratory topics are going to be over Zoom. It shows you if you have any special assignments. So you're going to have lecture quizzes and lab homework every week, essentially. There's some exceptions to that, but this last column shows you if there's any extra assignments beyond that. And again, for this week, it's that student survey I want you to complete for me. And right here in the middle, this column shows a text chapter. So these are the chapters in that OpenStax textbook that correspond with what we're talking about in lecture. Now, here's what you need to know. This is a great textbook. It's really well written. It's updated almost constantly. Because it's online, you get nice updates to it, 2 or 3 times a year usually. So it's a nice textbook. But you knew there was a but coming. But it's also got much more information in it than we're going to be covering in this course. This textbook is almost like it covers not only what you need to know as an undergraduate microbiology student, but even into some of the material you would need to know as a graduate microbiology student. So what you need to know is this: the text, anything that you read in the text that we don't cover in lecture, you're not responsible for. Okay, let me say that again, because that's so important. Anything that you read, for example, in chapter 1 this week, that we don't talk about in this lecture video, Intro to the Microbes, you don't need to remember. You don't need to take notes about, you don't need to worry about. All right, there is going to be material in the textbook that we don't cover, and you are not responsible for it. So some students don't regularly read the text. Now, what do I mean by regularly? Some students instead use the textbook as sort of frosting on the cake. They watch the videos and then they'll go into the textbook and maybe read over some things to try to make sure they understand it. Sometimes there'll be something in the lecture that they feel like they didn't quite get. So they'll go to the textbook and they'll read it. So I don't want you to feel like, even though there's a chapter listed for each week, I don't want you to feel like you have to read that chapter in its entirety. Use the textbook use the textbook as a supplement in this course. Pull it out, or I should say pull it up, because it's going to be on your computer mostly. Pull it up and look for things if you need some further explanation. If you want to review something that's written a little bit differently, different than how I stated it in the lab. It's not intended to be part of your to-do list each week. It's there in case you need it. Okay, does that make sense? I should also mention, just to be complete, it is possible to purchase that textbook. I actually have a number of students who do. I actually have a copy of the textbook. I don't think I have it with me right at this moment, but I have a hard copy of that OpenStax textbook. Just because I'm old and I like to have hard copy textbooks. I like to have them in my hands. And I've met students who like to have books. And so anyway, just so you know, you can purchase that book. It costs, I think, $50 to buy a hard copy of that book. But just in case you're interested, and you want a copy of it, you can purchase a copy of it and like keep it in your library. All right, good. Any other questions? Hold on just a sec. I may have my book over here. Here it is. This is what it looks like when you buy it. The thing is massive. It's a massive text, but it's a really good text. And I know I'm very nerdy, so I like to have books. I actually have a lot of microbiology books, just because I really enjoy it. I enjoy micro. It's a great subject. All right, any other questions? All right, so does everybody know what they need to do? Remember, if you haven't been on Blackboard, that's the first thing you want to do today. Go on Blackboard, read that welcome message. Go through the folder that says start here. Get that done. And then go into this week's folder, the week 1 folder, and start in your to-do list. You have one lecture to view, Intro to the Microbes. That's up on YouTube. Remember, all our video material is on YouTube. You have one lecture quiz to take. And you have one set of lab questions, lab homework questions to finish, but you won't be able to do those yet. You'll have to wait till we have our 2 topics this week, biosafety and care and use of the microscope. So you won't be able to do the questions quite yet. Remember that this meeting that we're having right now is going to be posted on our playlist. I'll do that later today. As soon as the video has processed through Zoom and comes to me, I'll post it up on our playlist, just in case you want to pull up and look at something on the video again. Okay. We're going to get together again on Wednesday at 11:20. And you're going to want to bring paper and pen, just like you were in class, so you can take a good set of notes. Okay. Any other questions at all? Anything I talked about? Anything I forgot to talk about? Oh, I know one other thing I should say. If you came in a little bit later than 11:20 today, and that's fine, I know there was a little confusion, go ahead and type your first name into the chat for me. I know several of you already did that, and that's fine. You don't have to do it again. But if you came in after we did that, go ahead and type your first name. I use that as a record of who comes to our meetings. So each day that we meet on Zoom, I'm going to ask you to do that. I'm going to ask you to type your name in, and then I'll have that record of who attended the meeting. Okay. Very good. I appreciate that.
Quick question about the final exam.
Yeah.
Is it cumulative? Sorry.
So the final exam in here, let me see if I can pull this up again. Maybe not, but we'll see. Hold on just a sec. So you should now see our schedule in our syllabus. And I'm just scrolling down to the end of the course. And you're going to see that you have lecture exam 4 scheduled for April 5th. And then you have several more lecture topics, and then you have the final lecture exam. So the final exam in this course is not a fully cumulative exam. It's essentially your next exam. So it will cover all of the topics that we go through after lecture exam 4, just like it's your next exam. The only thing that's different about the final lecture exam is that sometimes I will put a few questions from past exams on it. And I only do that if there are questions that several people missed. So if there's a question on an old exam that I felt people didn't quite understand as well as I would like them to, I will put that onto the final exam. Now, I'm going to let you know before the final exam which questions to study from old exams. I'm going to tell you which ones to prepare, if any of them even go on the final exam. If everybody seems to do well on the lecture exams, and that's what I'm hoping for, the final exam will just be another exam, and it will cover these topics from the immune system, vaccination, epidemiology. It'll just be another exam. So it is not a fully cumulative exam, not in this course. Good question. Since we have a couple of minutes, I'll also tell you a few things just about the exams in general. So you take two kinds of exams in here. You take a lecture exam, and you take what's called a laboratory practical exam. You take several of each. The lecture exams, like the name suggests, cover lecture material, only lecture material. And the laboratory practical exams cover only laboratory material. Now, the way it's run is the exam is available to you on Blackboard all day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's your job to just find a block of time when you can take it. All right. So the exam will essentially open up to you on exam day. You can hear my dogs. I know, I apologize. You'll be able to take the exam starting at 8 o'clock in the morning at any time that's convenient for you, as long as you get it submitted by 8 p.m. The same is true of those lab practical exams. You'll have those available to you across a whole day. So you'll be able to take it anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., as long as you get it submitted on time at 8 p.m. The reason we do that is just because, again, everybody's work schedule is different. And we want to make sure that everybody has a nice block of time to take the exam. We don't want anybody to rush through these exams. You will have plenty of time. These exams typically take students anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to finish, but you'll have a full 90 minutes just in case you need it, okay? A lot of students finish these exams quickly. So I don't want you to worry about time. But it is a good idea to go to our syllabus and scroll down to the schedule and just jot down on your personal calendar when the exam dates are, when the lecture exams are going to be, when the lab practical exams are going to be, just so you know ahead of time. And of course, if something happens and you've got a really difficult day on a scheduled day for a lecture exam and you know you're going to be rushed for time. So I've had students request to take the exam a little earlier or a little later during the day. I'm happy to work with you for that. I had a student last semester that liked to take her exam and submit it by 11 o'clock the night of the exams. That's fine. That's fine. Just again, keep in touch with me and let me know if you need an adjustment on lecture exam day or lab exam day. I'm happy to work with you on that. I had another student that used to like to take them at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, granted, he's a paramedic and his shifts started really early and went really late in the day. So he used to like to get up early, take the exam, and then go to work. And I was like, that's fine. If you want to take it at 6 a.m., you're welcome to take it at 6 a.m. Wouldn't be my choice personally, but all right, very good. Any other questions? All right, very good. So we're going to finish a few minutes early. I wish everybody good luck getting everything organized. I know it's always a little crazy right at the beginning. I will see you again on Wednesday at 11:20. If you have any questions or problems before that time, send me a message. All right, send me a message. You can message me through Blackboard. That's a great way to just quickly, while you're in Blackboard, to just quickly send me an email message. Okay. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of the day. We're supposed to get some snow tonight.
You too. Have a great day.
All right. We'll see you next time.
You.
Good to
Bye.
meet you all.
Thank you.